Hey friends, I have this 6-inch round circle decor thing. I don't know what it is. I'm calling it a thing. It says Gather on the front. I cleaned the sticker off the back and I'm sanding Gather off the front of it. It was in pretty bad shape. It had some beads on it. After sanding and cleaning it up, I need to fill in this little hole where the hanger was. I'm going to use some Minwax color changing wood filler to fill in some cracks and rough spots. And then I'm going to fill in the hole on the top, and then I'm going to let that dry. It has to be dry enough where I can paint it. So I'm just doing that. And then I have these little candle holder things from Factory Direct Craft. It was a whole bag of them, but I'm going to use them as little legs. I'm using Waverly chalk paint, ivory shade, and I'm just giving the legs a coat of paint. I'm doing the one side of them. Then I'm going to dry that side, and then I will flip them over and paint the other side of the legs. This was the easiest way that I could figure out to paint them. Now I'm going to remove the tape and see if that's dry. It's not. I'm going to dry it a little bit more. Then I'm going to go ahead and sand. I think it will be okay and good enough where I can paint it. So I am flipping it over to the back. The rough side is going to be the bottom. I am making a little riser, as you can imagine. I'm going to paint on a coat of the Waverly Ivory chalk paint and dry it and then give it a second coat. I believe I only did 2 coats on this. So then after that I dried it and then I flipped it over to do the other side, and I'm going to do 2 coats of paint on that side as well, and then also go around the sides and just sparingly brush it on. I didn't cover the sides really well, and I think it looks really cute. So I dry it again and then add another layer. I don't want it to be see-through, and sometimes you have to do a couple of layers with chalk paint anyways. So after that's good and dry, I'm taking my sander and I'm distressing the edges. Once I'm done sanding, I need to wipe away all debris so I can place my stencil. I made this cute stencil. It says "Love Lives Here." I thought it would be really cute for this mini riser. So I'm just using flat black paint and I am stenciling it on with my makeup wedge. And I did stencil on 2 coats, and I made sure that I offloaded all excess paint so no paint would seep under the stencil. And it looks beautiful. I got clean lines. It's always a good day when you get clean lines. So now I'm crossing the bridges and I'm using a little eyeliner brush to do this. I recently started using these eyeliner brushes. They were recommended to me and I am very happy with them because they are very fine tipped and they work great for these little tiny bridges. As always, this step is optional, but I do recommend crossing your bridges. I think it gives that nice finished look to your sign. So now I am going to sand the legs. They're nice and dry, so I'm just going to distress each one of the little legs. I'm going to use some dark sealing wax and I'm going to brush that around the edge of my riser. Now you don't have to use this. This is something you can skip. I just like the look of it, so I end up using it on a lot of my crafts. Totally optional though. If you don't like it, don't use it. I'm also going to add it to the legs to grubby those up as well. Now that I'm done with that, it's time to flip it over and attach the legs to the back. So since I did just 3, I'm going to position those 3 legs where I want them on the back, and then I'm going to just glue them in place with some Gorilla Glue. Since I'm making this little riser to be around water, like by a sink, I'm going to seal it with polyacrylic. So I am just going to brush on a good coat of polyacrylic on the bottom first, and then I'm making sure that I'm getting that around the legs as well. Polyacrylic dries really fast, so once I use the dryer, it's almost dry immediately. So then I flip it over, and then I'm going to also brush the polyacrylic on the front and the sides. I am really loving how this little project is turning out. So after I brush that on and then dry it really good, that is it. It's done. It's ready. It's looking good and it's ready to go. Here's a picture of it sitting in my bathroom with a little soap bar and some lotion. This video is part of a YouTube DIY crafting collaboration, Love is in the Air, hosted by Farmhouse Stencil Shop and Make All the Things with me. We hope that you will watch all the creators in the playlist, and I'm going to link that playlist in the description. Thank you for taking time to watch. And now for my second craft. I have this heart that I got from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to use that as one of my surfaces. I'm going to remove that hanger, and I need to fill in this hole as well. And so I am going to use that wood filler again and just cover that hole. Then I'm going to use my heat tool to hurry that along. This is a good time to mention that you should never leave your wood filler open like I did. Always cover it up because it dries really, really fast and you don't want it to dry out. So do as I say and not as I do. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and go to my second surface. I picked this up at a garage sale for $1. Somebody crafted on it, and I always appreciate crafts that other people do. This was probably made for a baby's nursery or something, but they were getting rid of it for $1, and I was like, yes, I will take it for $1. I thought I'm going to be able to use it one day. I'm going to use some Waverly Ivory chalk paint and just give it a good coat. I only need one coat because I am going to be decoupaging on top of this surface. What I have found when decoupaging is it's good to have that base coat of white paint or off-white paint, something like that, underneath your napkin. So I'm using Mod Podge, and I'm going to brush on a coat of Mod Podge. Now I'm not doing the center of the board because that's going to be covered with the heart anyways. I'm using my heat tool to dry the Mod Podge. I don't have it really close because I don't want to melt the glue. I just want it to be dry enough where it's not tacky. And then I'm going to use this napkin. It's yellow, but it has these pink flowers. And I'm using the scraps that I had from this napkin. And it's going to be just enough to fit around the edge. So what I've done is place my napkin, then I put a piece of parchment paper over the napkin, and I'm using my mini travel iron, and I'm just ironing on the napkin. And then I'm taking my sander and I'm going to clean up the edges. Since the napkin is adhered to the board, the excess napkin comes off really easily with the sanding. Now I do have to clean up the cracks in the board, which this was a little bit more difficult, but it worked out anyways. So a lot of people ask me what temperature for the iron. I just have my iron set to high and it works just fine. So just a hot iron over top your parchment paper, and this technique always works for me. So you can just watch the rest of this process. I had to go ahead and do this in little sections and stuff. It worked out okay, and then I just continued to sand off the edges and clean it up. I just kept working my way around the board and sanding and cleaning it up. And then, as you can see, I'm going to use the board as a background for my heart. And I am still cleaning up in between. I ended up ripping my napkin right there, which I figured out how to fix that. But first I'm going to use some dark sealing wax, and I'm going to go around the edge of my board and kind of just give it some shading around the edge. Again, I like how The wax makes my projects look, and so I use it most of the time. So if you have spots of your napkin pop up, you can just fix those as you go. You will find that once in a while you miss a spot. Now this side is where I had ripped it, so I am going to go back and fix that napkin. But I took my Mod Podge here and I was trying to fix it, and then I dipped my Mod Podge into my dark sealing wax, as you see, and then I was like, oh darn, why did I do that? So then I start Mod Podging over the entire thing to seal it, which is good. You do want the top of your napkin to be sealed as well. You don't want to dip your Mod Podge into your sealing wax though. Don't do that. That's what I get for rushing and not paying attention well. So I take some burnt umber, and that's how I fix the little spot. I just kind of blended it in because the center of my flowers were darker anyways. So the burnt umber shade helped to hide that flaw. I'm ready to work on my heart now, so I'm sanding off that dry wood filler, cleaning that up, and then I've decided to paint it pink. I had tried out a couple different shades and I decided to go with this pink shade, but I did mix a couple of colors together to get this shade. I don't normally paint things pink, so this is a change for me, and I don't know how many times I said shade just then, but anyways, oh gosh. So I'm just giving it a nice coat of pink paint. And then once that's dry, I will show you what I used. Peachy Pink and Waverly Ivory. I mixed them together and it kind of gave me a little bit of a swirly look, which I like. So I'm just drying that now, and then I'm going to sand around the edges, of course. Now it's time to attach my heart to the board. So I'm just going to do that with some wood glue. And I am just putting quite a bit of wood glue on the back and then just gluing that down. Now I'm going to work on my stenciling. So I'm placing my stencil here and I'm going to tape that down. And I am going to actually use a shade of Waverly that is called Truffle for this. I don't normally stencil in brown, so this is different for me, but I like how it looks. I think that it looks good on top of the pink. So this stencil says, all you need is love and coffee. This sign would be cute to have on a coffee bar or in a kitchen. I don't know how many people have pink in their kitchen, but I actually hung this on the wall in my kitchen when I was done with it, and I think I'm going to keep it there for a while. So there you can see I used Truffle. That is the shade, and I think it is a really nice shade of brown. It's almost like a coffee color. So I'm using my little eyeliner brush again, and those came in a pack of 100 from Amazon, and I am still on my same brush, so those are going to last me forever. And they work great. They work really good. So I am just going to sit here and fill in every little bridge with my little eyeliner brush, and I am just going to watch myself fill this in. And yeah, it looks like it's a lot of fun, doesn't it? Just getting the little bridges in the E and the O and the D and the A. Perfect. I'm not done stenciling yet. I decided I needed to make a tag. So I have this little coffee mug and I am using that same truffle shade, and I'm going to just stencil a little coffee mug and make myself a tag. So once I'm done with that, I just use my ruler and I'm going to measure out what size I need my tag to be. A lot of times I make my own tags instead of buying tags. So you can do that with some cardstock, even a paper bag, cardboard. You can make tags out of just about anything like that. A brown paper sack. Did I say that? I might have said that already. So then I'm going to fill the bridge in on my coffee mug and dry that really well. Then I'm going to stick it to the side and make a bow. For my bow, I decided on some different homespun fabrics and some other little pink fabrics and stuff. And I think I have some coffee stained muslin that I'm using. And I wasn't making a really big bow because I didn't have too much room, but I am going to put the bow like at the bottom of the heart. So I'm tying off my bow and getting ready to place it. It's just a really simple rag bow, and I'm going to put it right there on the heart. So I'm back to the dark sealing wax. I'm going to go around my heart now with that. I got to add some of that to grubby it up a little bit and make it the way that I like it. And then I'm trimming off the top of my tag, and then I'm roughing up my tag. I always wad up those tags. I don't want them to look new. I want them to look nice and worn. So that's what I'm doing, and I use the dark sealing wax on that as well. So I'm just gluing down my bow, and then I'm going to attach my tag and tie that off with a little bit of the jute twine. Once I get that just the way that I want it, I have this cute little vintage-like button, and I'm going to put that in the middle. I like the vintage look of that little worn brassy button. And then I'm going to put some greenery in there. This is one of my favorite greeneries to use. I use it on a lot of stuff, and yeah, I think it looks nice with some greenery. That is my last step, and my project is complete. I hope that you like it. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you will share it out there for me. And here is a picture of it on my kitchen wall. I'm Lori with Farmhouse Stencil Shop, and I just want to thank you for watching our event. And you can check out all the other creators in the playlist that will be in the description. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Thank you so much.